Just a quick disclaimer, this isn't a long scripted edited video essay. If you'd like to watch one of those, go watch Aiden Robertson, who's a small channel. I highly recommend watching him. He makes great videos. Or Lasers, or Luke Steffens, or Fishy. This isn't a video essay, this is simply why I love Witcher 3 personally, and how much it means to me, and hopefully how much it means to you guys too. Second disclaimer, apologies for the background noise. My dog is on my lap while filming this, so bear with it. You'll probably hear some sniffling throughout the video or some hard to explain noises. She's a French bulldog, so bear with me. Since playing it in 2017, The Witcher 3 has remained one of my favorite games of all time. From the world, story, characters, somewhat wonky acting at points, or just how charming the game is, it has remained not only one of my favorite games of all time, but also one of my favorite entertainment experiences ever. It is such a masterfully crafted game that I cannot fathom how well it was done and how I slept on it for almost 2 years. I was such a fan of games like Skyrim and Fallout at the time that I genuinely don't understand how I slept on this game for 2 years. I knew of the game. I knew about the game. I saw reviews on Angry Joe about the game, yet I slept on it for 2 years. I know, I'm an idiot. But at the same time, after playing it for about, I think, a month or a month and a half, the game changed me. Legitimately, it showed me what the true power of gaming is. Yes, I had played amazing, great games before that, like Assassin's Creed 2, Red Dead Redemption, or Skyrim. But Witcher 3 was what truly showed me how much gaming had progressed, how it went from just pixels on a screen to fully realized stories and worlds with interconnecting characters and story paths. When I first played it, I was in awe. Not only because the graphics were amazing, even 2 years after it's released, I cannot believe how good this game looks, even in 2020. Even compared to games like Red Dead Redemption 2, this game still holds up. I don't care what you say, this game still looks amazing. I cannot fathom how such a small developer like CD Projekt Red, while not the smallest on the planet, made a game that looked better than most AAA games at the time. I'd argue it even looked better than Metal Gear Solid 5 and Batman Arkham Knight, even though Batman Arkham Knight's graphics are pretty much held up by its rain physics and its cape physics. But despite that, Witcher 3 has been such a monumental perspective changer for gaming in my life that I honestly don't know where I would be without this game. Yes, I still prefer Skyrim. Skyrim is still my favorite RPG, but that doesn't negate the fact that I think Witcher 3 is the best RPG of all time. I don't think any other game really even touches Witcher 3. If I could give a game an 11 out of 10, Witcher 3 would be one of the 2 games I would give an 11 out of 10. It is so well, yes, there are problems. The combat, not the best in the world. It's passable, but it's not anything revolutionary. It's not like it's Dark Souls, where it's so amazing that you can't even get over it. Even though, it's not hard, but it's also not easy either, but it's also very clunky. If you look at the fist fighting, oh my god, the fist fighting is terrible. You literally can't, it's not a matter of opinion at that point. The fist fighting in this game is legitimately awful. It's one of the only parts of the game I will say is complete dog shit. You cannot get around. I don't see a logical defense saying, oh my god, the fist fighting is so good in this game. The fist fighting is clunky, and it's just overall so bad. And not only that, but they have entire quest lines revolving around fist fighting, and it was just painful to play through, and I did play through them just to get the master crafted woven armor, and god dang, they're something else. The fist fighting is terrible. But besides that, most of the game is created really well, and how you control Geralt, his controls are wonky too. Besides that, the entire rest of the game is pretty much perfect. I never seen side quests that not only mesh with the world well, like Skyrim has very well good side quests that mesh with the world well, but very few of them mesh with the actual story well. Like, yes, Skyrim's more about forging your own story, but think about it. If you're part of the companions, you're allowed to go into not only the Thieves Guild, but also the Mages Guild and the Dark Brotherhood, and you lead all 4 of them. That's kind of pushing it, don't you think? Especially when you realize that this is all happening in a matter of weeks. So when you factor that in, it gets kind of ridiculous. But Witcher 3 doesn't really have that problem. Every side quest is completely believable in the context of the world. This is not a game where you forge your own Odyssey. It is a game where you forge another character's story. Like, you're not making your own character. You're guiding this character through the world. So these decisions you make sense within the context. Similar to how Mass Effect, I believe. This isn't like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where you have a character where you can be a complete asshole who F's old women to this benevolent being who will give to charity. It's not like that. Like, yes, there are times where you can be a dickhead, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Geralt has always been more of a neutral character. He's never been explicitly good or explicitly bad. He's always been neutral, because he's essentially a glorified mercenary at the end of the day. So when you factor that in, he makes the perfect archetype for any RPG character that is fully realized within its world. It's not something like Skyrim where you make your character. This is a character that's been in 7 other books, now 8 I think, and 2 other games. This game doesn't have room to let you make your own character or forge your own character's identity. It's not possible. But because of that, they actually made probably the best RPG story of all time. Yes, there are other great RPG stories. Yes, you have Mass Effect. You have plenty of other games, but nothing, in my opinion, comes close to Witcher. The only thing that even really comes close in terms of RPG stories to Witcher would probably be either Mass Effect or maybe Fallout New Vegas. But even then, Fallout New Vegas is more so just the consequences of your actions more so than the actual writing of the characters in the story. Witcher 3 has such good character work that you don't even have to read the previous 7 books and play the other 2 games. I jumped into Witcher 3 without knowing a single thing except that you're a monster hunter and boobs. That's it. That's all I knew. From the Angry Joe show, making fun of the sex in the game, and the monster hunting. That's it. That's all I knew. And I went in. Yes, I will admit, I did not like the game at first. I had to trudge through the first, I would say, 5 hours or so until I got to Bloody Baron. It was hard to get through. But after that, the game serves as a perfect jumping off point to the series, even though it's literally the Avengers Endgame of the Witcher series. That's impressive, because even Avengers Endgame, even though it's a movie, if you have not seen a single Marvel movie in Avengers Endgame, you're screwed. You're completely lost. Witcher 3 is a completely other story, though. You'll be lost for the first few hours, but after that, you're sucked right in. Because even while playing the game, I played through the entire game. No books, no other 2 games. And at the end, I still felt that sense of disbelief at the end. That sense of emptiness that this incredible adventure is over. And rarely can a game do that when it's the final one. Like, yes, you can get enjoyment out of these final chapters, but you're not gonna get the same emotional impact usually as if you read and experienced the entire rest of the saga. Witcher 3 manages to get everyone into that boat though, and that's incredibly impressive. Like, I do not want to I don't want to overstate it, but it's so mind-boggling how they were able to make the final chapter of this incredibly long saga not only enjoyable for the hardcore fans that stuck along since 1992, but also to the fans that just came along in 2017 after the game was released. And not only that, but we get 2 killer DLCs along with it. You get Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine. In my opinion, the 2 best DLCs ever created. Hearts of Stone isn't a huge DLC. It's like 10 hours. But at the same time, the stories that it has are so well written that it honestly probably trumps the main story. And that's also very impressive because the main story is also very good. So when you have that, and then you also have Blood and Wine, which also is actually a really solid story. Not as good as the other 2, but it's still very good. You create the 2 best DLC ever made. Like, yes, Skyrim, Fallout are probably in second place. Let's be real here. They create the second best DLC. I'm pretty sure no one's gonna be arguing with me about that. And when you manage to trump DLC like Dragonborn and Far Harbor, you know you're in for a treat. Because these DLC honestly could be a main game. Like, maybe not Hearts of Stone, but Blood and Wine definitely could have been its own game. Like, without a doubt. You have a 15-hour story, which is maybe 20-hour story, which is pretty much the length of most games today. Plus the fact that you have an immense choice and consequence, a new map to explore, plus a ton of side quests. You're probably getting around 30 hours of gameplay. That's impressive for one single DLC. Most DLC, like a big DLC is usually around 20 hours at the most, and that's a $20 DLC. And Blood and Wine is the same price, yet you get an extra 10 hours plus a killer story. Most DLC have pretty crappy stories. Prime example, Assassin's Creed. Their DLCs suck. Their stories are trash. Jack the Ripper was awful. Oh, Tyranny of King Washington was also pretty dang bad. So when factoring that in, it is incredibly impressive that they were able to forge this entire experience with such a small dev team. It's incredible how such a small dev team was able to make not only this huge expansive world, but also this well-made world. It's not just Assassin's Creed Odyssey where you have blip here, blip here, blip here, blip here. Ooh, XP, 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 XP. That's Assassin's Creed Odyssey in a nutshell. It's not an actual RPG. You just go from place to place and look for the shiny thing. That's pretty much it. I'm not trying to bash people who like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You're free to do that. I honestly, while I don't like the game, it is a bit fun when I play it. I'll be real here. But it's not a good game. That's simply because it tries to copy a formula that Witcher 3 set. Witcher 3 has been such a monumental RPG that even though it didn't have the most sales, it has still remained one of the most influential games of this entire decade. The amount of impact it has, I would say, is probably the most in the gaming industry, right behind maybe Minecraft and Fortnite. That's how much I think this game has impacted the gaming industry. Yes, Red Dead 2 is, in my opinion, the best game ever and one of the greatest entertainment products of all time. But it really didn't do anything to push boundaries, really. Yes, it kind of. It pushed the boundary in terms of realism that we can have in an open world, but it didn't do much in terms of innovating it as much as we think. And I'm not saying it as a bad thing. I'm just saying Witcher 3 innovated a lot, and it did so to the point where Ubisoft is straight up just copying and pasting and putting grease into it. So overall, it's incredible how this entire game was not only managed to be made. Again, it amazes me how these small dev teams like Bethesda Game Studios in 2011 and CD Projekt Red are able to make some of the best games of all time when ginormous studios of thousands and thousands of people like Ubisoft are still fumbling on their asses trying to make a competent game about Greece. Seriously, how do you fuck up an Assassin's Creed game in Greece? Seriously, that's a genuine question, because that's honestly that should be a home run. for all intensive purposes, should have been a home run. Like, yeah, people liked it, but it's not a good game. It's literally just like Fallout 4, and then reduce it to the lowest common denominator. Like, take the problems of Fallout 4 and then crank them up to 11, and that's what you have in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. How do people like that game? And it's made by thousands of people. Yet, the game that was smaller, more compact, well, not more, the game that was made by a smaller developer with, I'm pretty sure, less time, also made the supremely better game by a very, very large margin. Like, to the point where Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Witcher 3 are almost incomparable in terms of quality. Like, yes, they are similar games in terms of gameplay style, because Ubisoft like to copy homework now instead of making the homework. So when you have these two games, it's honestly impressive that a small team of passionate developers made a better game than a team of thousands of people mainly trying to get a paycheck. And just looking at like the design philosophies of these games, like, you look at the design philosophy of The Witcher 3, all the developers, you could tell they have passion in it. And then when you look at the people designing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they're just, oh, well, we're not making a historical documentary, so we're not going to make it historically accurate. Yes, let's give the Spartans a navy and give everyone equal rights in Athens, even though Athens was one of the most hypocritical societies in Greece. Yeah, makes sense. But overall, Witcher 3 has been one of the most important games, not only to me, but of the entire generation. I would say the most important, besides Fortnite, of course, because Fortnite is obviously an above standard of a masterpiece. It's the best game of all time. Witcher 3 has remained the most important single-player game in this generation. It's influenced many games today, and is influenced my perspective on gaming as a whole. It really truly pushes the boundaries of what a game truly can be, and I will always love it for that. Yes, it could age over time, and it probably will, but for me, it'll always remain a special place in my heart for being the game that truly reignited my passion for video games. Thank you all, 2 of you who watched this video, and for the 2 of you who do watch this, if you play Witcher 3, what does it mean to you? How was your experience of the game? What are your thoughts on it? Leave them down in the comments below. With that, goodbye.